To those familiar with some of our content, you will know that every time there's a relative youngster who has very consciously decided to pursue psychology and ultimately come into the realm and sphere of mental health and this kind of work, it always fills us with a lot of enthusiasm, optimism, and joy. And when I came across our guest today, it was even more significant because as of now, she hasn't qualified yet as a mental health professional. She's navigating her journey at the present, but already is making a significant contribution because, along with her education and studies, which she's doing very, very far away from home in India, all the way in Canada, she's also actively creating beautiful content which is helping people understand various facets of psychology and mental health in simple, engaging ways. And that's what makes this entire conversation that's to be had very, very exciting indeed. Joining us all the way from Canada is Sanskriti, who is currently, like I said, a psychology student. And with her, we will try and understand uh, what she plans to do once she qualifies and what were some reasons that compelled her to make the kind of content that she does. I would like to say a big thank you to her for making the time transatlantic and joining us, and very, very excited to have you. So, very warm welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Not at all. It's our pleasure entirely. Why don't we begin by you telling the audience a little bit about what stage of your education you're at exactly?
So I'm currently completing my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology at Western University in London, Ontario, Canada. And when I say the journey to get here was a plot twist, I genuinely mean it. And I started with economics. Yes, economics. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. Maybe I thought I'd become some kind of a finance person, but about 2 months, and I was sitting in a class staring at graphs and thinking, whose life is this? And second year came around, and I switched to psychology, and suddenly everything just clicked in a minute. Now, technically, I wasn't alone in Canada. I had my Masi here, or my aunt, but she lives 3 years away. So while knowing she was on the same continent was comforting, but day-to-day life was very much just me. And I think that's an important distinction. Having family nearby or actually living with family are two very different things. Um, I've had the full experience of coming home to a quiet apartment, cooking for one, figuring things out by myself. And I can genuinely say that I understand what it means to live alone. And not theoretically, but actually. It was hard. There were moments where I felt the lowest I've ever felt, like I wasn't capable of anything. I cried on calls with my family more times than I like to admit. Canada has also taught me something unexpected, how to be alone without being lonely. I started going to restaurants by myself, watching movies alone in theaters, and honestly, I highly recommend that. People look at you, oh, that poor person has no friends, but sitting there with your popcorn and zero drama, that is actually the most peaceful thing ever.
Can I
I'm
can I
also,
quickly jump in
yeah,
here? You've been
yeah.
so honest and forthcoming, which itself is most admirable. But you've kind of touched upon uh, a point that I'm personally very invested in. Why do you think it is so important for people to spend time with themselves?
I think like living here is one of the best experiences I've ever had. Like sometimes I do even regret that why I'm not living with my family. I'm missing the events, I'm missing family functions or sometimes. But like when I think about the time I had here, like I have learned so much about myself. which I think if I was in India, I would have never learned about it. Like, I didn't know what my mind is thinking or what I'm thinking or what I even want to do in future. And being independent, I think it's the best decision. Like, you learn so much about yourself and about the people, about the life. You know how people are. Like, it's very different. I think
Just out
everyone
of
should experience
curiosity,
it.
Sanskriti, were you the kind of person when you were back home in India who was quite sort of pampered in the sense that you weren't necessarily doing a lot of work around the house, etc., or and therefore a lot of the things that you had to do once you moved to Canada were things that you would have been doing for the first time, or were you somebody who was quite used to helping around the house and things like that?
I was not pampered at all. My mother used to make us do all the things. Like me and my sister we used to do everything.
Hmm.
Like I love cooking, and I have done like I have hosted a lot of dinners at my home. So I think that was not a new thing for me. Like even she was very like relaxed about that. Ki she'll cook on herself. We don't have to be tense. The more she was tense about it because I was a very sensitive person. And she was like, she'll cry there, she'll be alone. I think that was one of the biggest tension they had because that, like, I used to cry on small, small things. So,
The other thing I want to check with you quite plainly is that, and I think you'll agree that so much of how we perceive things and the way we respond and react is psychological. And I know from so many people who've moved from India to places as far physically as Canada, that physical distance itself can become very overwhelming. I mean, it's an entirely different feeling to be, let's say, in Singapore or something, as opposed to being all the way in Canada. Was that something that you had a conscious sense of that, oh gosh, I'm like literally in the other end of the planet?
it was, but like I mentioned, like only the comforting thing was I had my Masi here because I used to stay with her when I was in India too. She used to teach me. She used like I was at her home more than I was at my place. So I think that was the most comforting thing. And she came here in COVID, so that's when my family decided that okay, she can go too now. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent me.
I don't want to, kind of romanticize this more than necessary, but I have to ask you, uh, how did you kind of navigate, admittedly being in a very emotional state and crying and being constantly on the phone with your family, etc., to reaching a more independent and happy place? What did you even do?
I kept myself I started keeping myself busy. I think if you ask me like how I emotionally I think living in Canada has been the biggest teacher, and I don't think anyone could have taught me what it has taught me, and to like understand why or where I come from. I grew up in a joint family, cousins everywhere, or constant noise, and someone was always in the next room. It was a beautiful chaos, but coming to Canada and suddenly living completely alone, it was a shock to my system. And going from that warmth and that noise was a complete silence, and that it like nobody prepares you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Even I didn't expect that it was gonna happen, but suddenly keeping myself busy intentionally, I became self-independent whenever, like, even in a way I was never before. And I stopped waiting for anyone, stopped depending on anyone. I used to go to malls alone even if I didn't have to shop anything. I used to go window shopping, play songs on my AirPods, and used to roam here and there. And I just started doing things by myself. And somewhere in that process, I also stopped worrying about what people think. And if even if someone is judging me, I stopped thinking about it. and I just started doing the work. Like I became more patient, more responsible, because no one else was doing it for me. And like I mentioned, I was a very sensitive person, so small things would affect me deeply. It still affects me, but I think like living here has taught me to be emotionally stronger. And like when I say
Hmm.
about when I feel the lowest, I genuinely didn't know what kept me going. One of the thing was my biggest motivation was my mother. She completed her MA after 25 years of marriage, and she did just complete it. She topped in Punjab University.
Wow.
So I think if she like she has decades of family, like she has given her family most of her time, and she picked up her books and outperformed everyone. And I think if she could do that, like I had
That's
absolutely no idea.
remarkable because obviously she became such an inspiring role model to you right at
Yeah,
home.
yeah. And I was so excited. Like she got her photo in the newspaper. I was so excited. Like I think like if she can do it, I had no excuse to
Most
give up.
certainly. Now, I must ask you on a lighter and more positive note, during all of this time that you were kind of forced to spend with yourself, be it at the mall or at the movies or at restaurants, what were one or two pleasant things you discovered about yourself?
Wow. Like my parents used to say me before, like I'm a sensitive person. I used to disagree about it. And then like it was very different. Now I know like who I am, what I can do. When I started even Psycurious, like I didn't know I could shoot videos. I didn't know I could face camera. When I first went to my high school, Manavachna, I was in sixth grade, and my teacher told me to speak some lines about Baisakhi. It was just eight of us. Like my class had only eight students, and she told me to speak some lines about Baisakhi. I came on the floor and I started crying.
Hmm.
So I think this confidence has changed me so much. Like I didn't know I could do this. Like even now I couldn't believe that I can shoot videos or do this.
That's such a wonderful thing to discover about yourself. Your in a sense, an individual's infinite capacity to do and evolve and grow. That's beautiful. And since you mentioned it, it's the perfect time to ask. Tell everybody about this wonderful page that you run. Why did you start it? How did the idea come to you? All of it.
Um Honestly, the credit goes to my parents and my sister. They believed in me before I believed in myself. There was a phase where my confidence was not just there. I was very much in my own shell. They pushed me to start creating content around psychology because the subject I was studying and I genuinely loved. But after that first push, it was all me taking the steps forward. Like I started making content, posted two or three videos, and I started getting confidence I didn't know I had. Each video also taught me something new, and not just about psychology, but about myself too.
Sure.
I started learning editing, filming, or how to even present ideas in a way that people actually connect to it or they find it relatable. I think I'd never had these skills before. And I think Psycurious became the place where I could practice all of that. And it's a page dedicated to psychology, making it relatable or making it funny and actually digestible for people who didn't spend 4 years of studying it. It gave me a voice, and honestly, I think it's the best thing I did in Canada.
Well, it certainly is, but I want to also understand, and I want the viewers to understand that while it makes sense that at least initially, I think it's a safe assumption that mostly it was kind of informing you about your personal capacity and evolution and growth. Once you had settled into a certain level of confidence in terms of content creation, what were what were you making your decisions on the basis of? I mean, how would you choose your topics and themes, for example, for your reels, etc.?
So the first video I posted, it got like 2,000 or 3,000 views. I posted with my, like with different moods when we are studying. So I think it got like 2,000 or 3,000 views, and I was so happy that moment, that I didn't know that this, like, I just came back home from university and I shooted it and then I posted. I didn't think about it at once, and I didn't know that it would get this much views. Then after that, like that video made me thought that people actually relate to some content you're posting. Like, you will not get, people will not see until they relate to it. So I think, and like date, even in day-to-day life, if I was talking to someone, if there was a topic I like, and then I used to search about it, I used to do a lot of research and then start writing what I can say in my next video. And like, I was talking to my cousin the other day, I was talking to him about karma, and then the next day it clicked to me that, yeah, even karma is a good topic to say about, because people have, like, sometimes people have a wrong perception about it. So yeah, I think that was like day-to-day moments or what has happened in my life that I can teach people that they should not do, or they could learn from it.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now, uh, do you see, once you kind of complete your education and presumably get into professional practice, that you would want to ideally carry on the page as well?
Yeah, I would do. Like, I still don't think about the views. I'm just doing it for myself.
Sure.
Like, I'm happy about doing it. I get busy doing it. Like, I think about new ideas. I'm getting so much knowledge about it. Like, the videos I'm posting, it's all before I research it. So it's giving me a lot of knowledge. I'm learning so much from it too. So I think, yeah, I'll continue it. I think it's a good
You
start to
you
my
would have heard of this concept, throw them in the deep end. Now, of course, it originated from the actual physical act of dumping a non-swimmer in the deep end of a swimming pool so that they learn as quickly as possible, purely out of survival instinct, how to swim, or at least how to stay afloat. In a lot of ways, the extreme step of you having gotten out for the first time of your own comfort zone and home environment happened to be all the way in Canada. Uh,
Yeah.
would you would you now, in hindsight, see that as a very extreme step? And if families and children have the option, they can do it in a slightly more bit by bit progressive way, or would you recommend that extreme a step?
I would not say extreme step. Like in India also we see, we call our friends or we call our cousins, like, you can go with me somewhere. I think instead of doing or instead of waiting for someone, I think we can actually go by ourselves, or like we find a company if you even want to go watch movie. Like, I would do that too. कि अगर मेरे पास कोई है तो मैं जाऊंगी मूवी
Hmm.
देखने, अगर नहीं है
Correct,
तो मैं नहीं
correct.
जाऊंगी. But like, if we want to go, if we have our mood set on it, then I think we should do it alone. Like, everyone should have experience of doing that, and they'll eventually know how that feels. And when you are sitting in a restaurant by yourself, you think about so much about yourself, and you know that, oh, I didn't know that I had these qualities or I had these skills in me.
Hmm. I think in India, especially, unfortunately, there are other associations that are and conclusions that are drawn when we see somebody alone. Like you yourself
Yeah,
said earlier,
yeah,
कि oh, ये तो क्या loser है, इसके तो दोस्ती नहीं है, वगैरह वगैरह. And I think a
yeah.
lot of that fear of that perception prevents us from just going by ourselves. But I completely agree. You should be totally deep, and what you love to do, you should just go and
You
do it.
should
I
do
mean,
it.
yeah,
Like when I came to India in December, I had an experience. I was waiting for my mom to get free so that we can go shopping, but she got busy somewhere else, and then I was going alone, and my mother was like, अब तू अकेली जाएगी, and I'm like, अब आप ही ने सिखाया ये, तो अब मैं जा ही सकती हूँ, अगर मैं वहां पे कर सकती हूँ तो यहाँ पे भी कर ही सकती हूँ. So I think,
true.
yeah, that perception is what people have in India.
Um, any kind of, broader, larger, or overall message that you're trying to give through Securious, which you would like to kind of repeat or reiterate here as we wrap this up?
Um, I don't think so. There's a message to it, but I think it's just like if people are curious about knowing what psychology is like and how we feel about it. So I think people like they can follow pages like this. Like there are so many more pages which discuss about psychology and they post about their relatable content. So I think, yeah, if they want to know why we feel or what you feel or what we think is like how our mind is processing, I think they should listen to these type of pages because you know the concept which you didn't know, and you get a bit more of a knowledge.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that's a
And I
message I
think it's
would.
important awareness to have.
Yeah.
Having spent significant time and having adopted a kind of outlook in life which you didn't have earlier in Canada, do you feel that now it is also home to you, or you still don't feel that?
Oh, that's a trick question. Like sometimes it is because right now like I will be graduating in July. So me and my family were discussing what I'm gonna do in future, if I'm gonna stay here or not. So yeah, I was planning to come. I'm still planning to come back to India and do my master's there. Cause like I mentioned, I came from a joint family and like there are so many functions or everything happening.
Sure.
I do miss them, and like I do have my Masi here. Even her family became my family.
Hmm.
I don't think I would survive here without them. But yeah, I think I would still come back to India even if I want to, because people are like people like we mentioned, like people are not concerned here about each other. They are just doing their own business. Like even with neighbors also, they don't talk to each other. They only say hello and that's it. Like
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I don't like that.
Well,
And like if you're even sitting in your room, it's alone yourself. So that is a very different
you might as
style.
well be happy alone than be miserable in company.
Yeah, that
Yes.
is true.
So, great. It's been lovely talking to you, and let me tell you quite plainly to your face that it's maybe I'm saying this because I'm old and jaded, but it's very refreshing to see somebody as honest and unfiltered as you are, and I think that's the quality worth preserving. I hope you never lose it, along with, of course, accomplishing all everything else that you set your sights on. So, all the very best, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I loved it.